Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today we're going to take a look at the battle rifles in the Battlefield Hardline beta. Now, as you know, the beta ended today, but I still think it's worth taking a look at these guns because I think statistically there will need to be some changes going into the final game. The battle rifles are the heavy-hitting fully auto weapons of the Enforcer kit, and previous to this game, guns like the Scar were considered ARs and had to be balanced accordingly with the other weapons in that class. Now that they have a class of their own, they hit significantly harder than they previously did, but on the other hand, they have a lot more recoil, which can be a bit tough to handle. Now, before we go on, I should mention that this is only a beta, so you can expect weapons to be tweaked and balanced before the final game releases. Also, Synthic.com, where I'm getting these stats from, has said that although the stats come from the game files and should be 100% accurate, they haven't all been tested in-game. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that all of the weapons that'll be in the final release weren't actually playable in this beta. In the pre-beta footage, we saw quite a few more ARs and carbines that aren't in the beta, and it's entirely possible more battle rifles will be added to on release or in future DLCs. But anyway, to kick off, the battle rifles all have the same accuracy model except for the HK51, which is twice as inaccurate as any of the other battle rifles when in ADS. It does have a very fast muzzle velocity and reload speed, but its accuracy combined with its fairly crazy recoil and low rate of fire was probably a big part of the reason I didn't enjoy using this gun at all. On the other hand, the other criminal battle rifle, the SA-58, has a relatively easy recoil pattern, a decent rate of fire of 650 RPM, and a super fast reload. This is kind of OP as it is, but on Synthic it also seems to have a ridiculously fast muzzle velocity of 850 meters a second, which could be an error or it just could be something the devs are planning to fix in the final release. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned yet, which is pretty important to the battle rifles, is that they all have a 21 round capacity except for the H-Car, which has 31. The fact that the H-Car only fires at 450 RPM though, and has a very hard kick, makes it a fairly useless gun despite its larger capacity and very fast muzzle velocity. On the other hand, the other cop battle rifle, the Scar H, will be familiar to veterans, except now it fires at 625 RPM, and like the other battle rifles, it deals a max 43 damage and a minimum of 24 damage. It's also got a very fast reload and controllable recoil pattern, but it's not entirely OP because it's balanced out by a very slow muzzle velocity of 410 meters a second. Now, as for my favourite battle rifle, well, I'd have to say on feel alone the Scar H felt the most fun, but that being said, looking at the stats, it's clear that the SA-58 was by far the best. Also, as much as I hated the H-Car in-game, I really like the way it sounds considering it's based on an old BAR, and I hope it gets a buff in the final game because I'd love to use it a lot more. As for attachments, well, I try to stay away from the muzzle brake on most of my weapons, but I found that the muzzle brake plus stubby combo was a decent choice for the battle rifles. A one-time sight should be fine for all of these weapons, and the only other change I'd probably make is to use an angled grip on the H-Car and HK51 to combat that significantly harder recoil. All in all, I really like the battle rifles in Hardline, but I must admit they were a bit inconsistent, and it sort of seems like the devs left them unfinished to focus on balancing the operator weapons. This category needs a bit of balancing before release to make sure all of these weapons are worth using, and it doesn't really help that so many of the other weapons in-game are ridiculously overpowered too. Apparently, in the last few days, Visceral released a patch for the PC, nerfing the damage and recoil of the ARs, so this should help the battle rifles stand out a fair bit when the game finally does release. In any case, I much prefer these guns over the shotguns, and I think in the final game we're going to see them used a fair bit more as people get stuck into the Enforcer kit. But anyway guys, that just about wraps up this video, so let me know what your favourite battle rifle is in the comment section below, and as always, if you like what you see, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. If you haven't already, please check out all my other Battlefield videos. I've got them all linked in a playlist in the description below, and until next time, see you later and have a good one.